when they are writing table is given below, it is never on the same page. It is on the next page. So in order to avoid such type of thing, it is always advisable that you give the table number, and when you are writing, then you immediately refer to the table. And this I will show you when I will take the example of how to really write the thesis. So I'm right now just telling you some of the salient feature which you have to keep in the mind. And if you keep, then naturally the quality will improve little bit. Okay, so I think I have given most of the points that it find nice. So these points are to be kept in mind and very, very, very important. Okay. Now, dear friends, when you are going ahead, then in the thesis or in your dissertation, you will have a top page. And you will have the one page, and this one page should have, let me see how much space I have. Okay, I can still, no, I should not. Okay. Suppose this is my first page, the top cover of your dissertation or of your thesis. Now this, each university has a format that here you should write the title, and how exactly that title should be written, that you can do. After you have written the title, then you have to write thesis submitted. Thesis submitted. Okay. Thesis submitted for doctoral degree. Doctor degree in, and this has to be, of course, like this, doctor degree in whatever is your subject, in physical education. Okay. Then submitted to then you write your name of the university, whatever is the university. Now, this particular portion will be whatever is the format of having this top page, because this normally varies from university. Then you should have some space, and then here your supervisor, you have the supervisor, and then you have your candidate. Okay, so name of the supervisor will be here and the name of the candidate will be here. Now below this, actually it should come on one page. So let me take it on one page. And then here you write your address of your research center. If it is a thesis, it is the research center. If it is your master's program, then it is your institute, whatever is the institute. Because your university name, you have already written here. So university name you have already written here. So here will be the research center address in case of PhD. Research center address in case of PhD. Okay, but it will be institute address or the college institute address or institute address in case of dissertation. Okay, that's what you have to write. And below this, then you can write the year. Now, this is what should be your first page look like. Okay, and your supervisor name should be there and his signature must be there. Here, the candidate name and the candidate's signature should be there. And please, when you are getting the signature, it is always advisable to request the supervisor to write the date and the month and the year. Day, if it was 18th January, then 18.1.2021. Okay, like that. And similarly, the candidate also must write the date after the signature. I have found sometime that supervised signature is not there at the top of the thesis. Sometimes the candidate signature is not there. Then, it becomes sometimes very difficult to understand the genuineness. But if suppose in your university, if you are not having a system of getting the signature of the supervisor on the top page, then the same top page is to be reprinted and put as a first page inside. And then on that page, you get a signature. There must be signature of your supervisor and there must be signature of your candidate. And then this particular thesis or the dissertation has to be forwarded to the university. Who forwards it? It is normally the head of the department will forward it to the dean of the faculty, and then dean of the faculty will forward it to the university. I repeat, in case of a PhD thesis, you have to take the signature of the head of the department, and then the head of the department will forward it to the dean. Then you have to take the signature of the dean and then it will be submitted to the university. But if it is a dissertation, then your guide signatures are already there. Then your institute head will also forward it and then it will go to the university. It need not to go to the dean and the university. But if you have a system of forwarding the dissertation through the head, the dean, and to the university, you can follow that. So whatever is the rule, you have to follow the rule, my dear friend. One should not flout the rule. This is a very important thing. And once this is your the top page, sometimes second page is also the same. The first, the top is the hardbound, and your inside one is your normal paper, A4 size paper, whatever you have. After that, sorry, after that, you have to one certificate from the guide. So next page will be certificate from the guide. And why this certificate is taken, so that he mentions in the certificate there is a format, and this format is available in the university, or you can find out the latest dissertation submitted or the latest PhD thesis submitted. All these will be available in those, and you can take the format from there. Okay. Now this certificate is very important because the guide has to certify that this is the original work of the candidate and he has not copied from anywhere. And if that is not given, then my dear friend, it's very, very, very. Sir, please explain point number 6. Okay, let me see what was my point number 6. Mahinder ji, the point number 6 means that suppose you want to give information about the institutes, about the gender, about the area, and if these you are giving the distribution of number of students according to the institute, according to the gender, and according to the area, then only one table you can develop, and in one table you can put column and you can give information. But you also want to give one more information like the subjects, science, commerce, whatever. Now, then these becomes the 4 variables. And if you want to use just one table, then that table will become a complicated table. And that is why I say that maximum 3 variables information you can give. If you have the 4 variables whose information you want to give, then you can select which 2 variable information you want to give in one table, and another table you can have where you can give the information related to the other 2 variable, whatever remains. I hope now you have understood it. Okay, but if you have 10 variables, because you want to normally this is for the sample description. Normally such situation will come only whenever you want to describe your sample. And when you want to describe your sample, then you have to decide how many variables you want to give, and then you want to discuss. So that decision you can take, not a problem at all. Okay, friend. Then next is, so this is the title 1. And after that, I was talking about the certificate from the guide. The heading you can see, whether it is certificate from the guide or it is only certificate. But the thesis as well as the dissertation must have a certificate from the guide, and the guide will state that this is the original work of the researcher. And this is very important these days because it has been observed that many people at a PhD level as well as at a master's level, they copy the thesis or the dissertation submitted by the student in some other universities. That happens. I know I will not disclose the name of the person, but I just gave you one example. There are many examples like that. One is there was one vice chancellor of one of the universities, and he was, okay, state I can give you, it is MP state, and he copied from one thesis which was submitted in Ravi Shankar University, Raipur. Now just see, he is from Madhya Pradesh and he got one thesis from the Raipur. And he, of course, submitted. And there are people, their job is only to find out who has copied from where. So someone reported that this particular thesis submitted by this person has been copied from here. And the committee was constituted, they found, yes, he has copied. One, there is another vice chancellor of one universities in the Uttarakhand. He had copied one research paper which was published in a very good journal. And he copied that paper and he got that paper published in India, in Indian journal. And since he was a vice chancellor, so some people were after him and they found it. So like this, please do not do this work. Today, I'm not caught because people are not putting an eye on me. But tomorrow, if they start searching and if I have done something wrong, then naturally people will see. I have written a book, and if there are people, if they are after me, they try to find out whether I have copied it from some book or not. Yes, I'm not worried because I have not copied even a single sentence from anywhere. So that's fine. But you will find many of the writers, when they are writing, they may not be acknowledging that particular book, but they do copy it from the book. So this certificate will be the binding on the teacher. He is taking the guarantee that such and such person worked under me and it is the original work. So that is a very important thing. So this is the one page, and on one page maybe 3-4 lines, but it is the certificate that has to be given. And this has to be signed by the guide. Signature of the guide with the name and signature. Okay. Then after that, the next will be, after this particular one, the next page will be. So I'm just saying one particular page. So next page will be the preface. Or some people call it acknowledgement. acknowledgement. Now this acknowledgement has to be necessarily written by the candidate. And here the candidate can acknowledge the help he has taken from as many people as he likes. Here he even can acknowledge his own family members. No problem at all, because this is the job of the researcher, that to whom he wants to acknowledge and to whom he does not want to acknowledge. If he wants to acknowledge the teacher under which he has worked, he can acknowledge. If I want to acknowledge the dean, he can acknowledge. If he wants to acknowledge the head of the department, he can acknowledge. If he wants to acknowledge the librarian of the department or of the university which he has referred, may not be from his same university, he might have visited some other university and he might acknowledge the librarian of that. Absolutely no problem. If you have not typed your dissertation or thesis with you, if you have got it typed from someone, you can acknowledge that person. So you can, if you have collected the data from the field and you have taken data from the student, you can acknowledge the students of that particular institute, no problem. So this acknowledgement is 100% the freedom of the researcher. And whatever you are doing here, then it has to be signed by the researcher. So it is a signature at the end. Signature of the researcher. And my dear friend, that you may not have to write the heading, but if there is a format where you have to write the heading, you can write the heading. So this will be your another page after the sequence is the first, the guide certificate, the next is the acknowledgement. And after the acknowledgement, then the next is, after acknowledgement, then comes the content page. That here you have a content page. And this is the content page which you have. Now here you say the one is certificate. And then you give the page number here. Certificate, and then you give the page number. And normally the page number is in the italics. And then next you say acknowledgement. And then here you say the another page. Okay. That's all. These are the two things. I don't think there will be any other thing other than these two. After that, now you have to start your chapter. So here your will be first chapter. Your chapter 1. Okay. And you have to write the title of the chapter. The introduction. Now in this one, now here you have to write your 1.1.0. This will be your the first chapter, the first main caption, because I have the first, as I told you just a some half an hour before, that first digit will represent your chapter. The second digit will represent the main caption. If the third digit is 0, then it will represent the main caption. Then main caption is your introduction. Okay. And this introduction, when you are writing, then you have to write the page number. Okay. The page number. Because your chapter name is introduction, and this is the introduction of that particular chapter. Okay. So here you can write the page number, whether it comes on the first page or you comes on the second page, whatever it is. If it comes on the first page, you can write it first page. Then 1.2.0. What is this main heading? Now, I cannot tell you this main heading. You have to find out. So 1.3.0. So like this. So you have to write all this. And when I was discussing about the proposal writing, I did talk about that you have to develop the conceptual framework. So conceptual framework, when you are developing, then whether you are writing it in the under 2 main headings or you are writing under 3 main headings, that what you have to write. And then whatever are the pages which are coming here, those pages you have to keep on mentioning. Okay. And then after that, whatever will be the one, so you keep on doing chapter number 1. Number 1 finishes, then you go to chapter 2 and chapter 3 and chapter 4, chapter 5, whatever. So you have to write the content like this. Once you have finished the content, then on the next page, you have to give the tables, because there will be many tables. So you have to give the tables. And these tables, when you are giving, then you have to write what is the table number. Say if your table is coming from, say, 3.1. 3.1 means it is the third chapter and it is the first table you have written. So here you have to give the title of the table. Whatever is the title of the table that you have written. Okay. And then you have, of course, to give the page number on which it is coming. And if it is coming on say 158 page, then you have to write 158 page. Or if you are, it is coming 100, you have to write 101 page. Then if there is another table in the 4th chapter, the first table, then you have to write the table number. So if in your dissertation or your thesis, if you have the 15 tables, then you have to write all the titles of the 15 tables and their table number and the page on which they are coming. Why is it important? It is important so that any researcher, any reader or a researcher who is interested in your work and he wants to see what result you have got and wants to see your table, that what are the information you have, and they can do it. So this is how, so this may be on the next page. Now, once you have done the table, then it is quite possible you might have put graph. And all that what I'm writing it in capital. So you have to write in capital. So when you are giving graph, in graph also you might have, it is quite possible, you might have said that it was 4 and the 1. What was the heading of the graph? So the title of the graph you should give. Okay. So here it is the title of the graph that you have to give. Now this 3.1 is the title of the table, then 4.1 is the title of the table, and this is the number may remain same because it makes it the 4th chapter and the first one, but it may be 4th chapter and might be a 6th one, but whatever it is. So that's what you have to give, and then you have to give the page number on which it is coming. Okay, so that's what you have to give. One more thing I just forgot, that before the table, towards the end of your the main content, you should give your bibliography. Okay, so I just did not tell you that you have to give the bibliography. What and bibliography on which page you have given. So that should be the part and parcel of your content. And then the tables separate page, and then your graph separate page, etc., etc., etc. Now, once all these things are over, then we go to the chapterization. And now here comes your chapter. This is 1. And my dear friend, here you have to write the Roman. You cannot write the numbers like 1, 2, 3. You have Roman, you have to write. Now, then you have to write his title. You know, normally the first chapter is titled as introduction because it is the introduction part. It will introduce the main aspects of your work to the reader. Because if I do not understand this part, then I may not be able to understand your work very well. So that is why the introduction part is very important. And then your 1.1.0 will be introduction. And in this introduction, what you have to write is that the present research was related to this aspect. The present research was related to this aspect, whatever is the aspect. Okay, so that immediately the reader from your first sentence will come to know that from, if it is related to the physical education, then is it which part of the physical? Is it game? If it is game, then it is which game? Okay, if it is individual game, then which game? If it is group game, then which game? So therefore, the first sentence, opening sentence, is very, very, very important, because immediately after reading this particular one, he will understand it. because from title, he knows the title, but here you are giving the aspect. You are not reproducing the title here. Absolutely no. And then you should write that in this chapter, the information is given. In this chapter, the information is given related to, now you have to write whatever the headings you are writing here. Whatever the headings that you are writing here. So these headings will become the part and parcel of this. And these 1.2.0 and 1.3.0 or 1.4.0, these you are using. What I told you yesterday, you are using to write down the theoretical framework of your research. You can say theoretical framework or conceptual framework. Conceptual framework or theoretical framework. Conceptual or theoretical. My dear friends, many times it has been observed that this part is quite weak. Okay, so this part should not be the weak. And only here, it is not a book that you are writing. You are writing a thesis. And here you should only give that information which will build up or which will help the reader in understanding that this is what you propose to do. And in that, these are the important elements. Because I can give example from the area to which I belong. Okay. So therefore, that's what you have to write. The conceptual framework or theoretical framework, the headings you may give, you may think, what will be the headings? Suppose if I am working with a model of teaching, then my one heading may be models of teaching. And there I may talk about what are models and what are the different types of the models. And then I can come to the specific model. I might have worked on one particular model, and then if it is an inquiry training model, then I will write another, say 1.3.0, 1.2.0 maybe models of teaching, and 1.3.0 maybe inquiry training model. And if I want to give more information about inquiry training model, then it will be 1.3.1, 1.3.2, and 1.3.3, because all these information will be related to the inquiry training model. Okay, so therefore I will not be able to really give you the headings here. These headings depend upon your subject, depends upon the aspect related to which you want to conduct a research, or you have conducted a research, not want, you have already conducted a research. Okay. Now, as soon as you have completed the conceptual framework, maybe under one caption heading or two caption heading, that number of caption heading, I cannot tell you. It depends upon the person, the researcher who is writing. Then once I have written this, then the next in the sequence will be rational. You have to write the rational. Or as I told you, some people, they write a need and importance. Or some people write significance of the problem. Some people, different people, some people write significance. So the choice is yours. Okay, I prefer rational, or I do not mind if somebody is writing need and importance. Now, this particular one is very, very, very important. The quality of your work is judged from the rationale that you have written. And the rationale must include that you should write here few paragraphs to highlight the need and importance. Okay, you have to highlight the importance of your work. Why do you think that it was important to conduct a research on inquiry training using inquiry training model? Or why do you think it is important to develop the inquiry skills of the people? Why? That is the one that you have to write. And this you can write in one paragraph or in two paragraphs. Then after that, then you should write here the sum up. This sum up will be the whatever the researches that have been carried out, and that is the review of related literature. Dear friend, when you are writing a thesis or you are writing a dissertation, normally your review of related chapter length will increase, because during the tenure of your the course or your research, other researches might have come up and you might have abstracted them and you may like to include. Therefore, the number may increase. Then it is advisable not to make review of related literature a part and parcel of the first chapter. Because if you make that a part and parcel of the first chapter, then the length of the first chapter may be 80 pages, maybe 90 pages. And that is too much. So therefore, in order to keep the length of the chapter not too much, though review of related literature is written as a separate chapter. But if you think that no, you do not have many researches, then in that case, you can make the part and parcel of the first chapter. And if you make that, then review of related you have to write now review of related literature here. Please do not write review of literature, because the review of literature is not at all not the appropriate heading, because your research will be related to some aspect of a bigger aspect. Okay, so write that. So if you think you do not have many researches and you do not want to write a separate chapter, then the review of related literature must be written before the rationale. But if you are writing a separate chapter, then this should not be the part and parcel of your first chapter, so that you can decide. I will be telling you that if you are writing a second chapter independently, then how will you write? But if you want to make part and parcel of the first chapter, then whatever I will tell you to write in the second chapter, that you will write in the first chapter. That's only that simple, not very difficult. So from the review of related literature, you have to have a sum up, and that you have to give here. And then towards the end, you should say that this aspect is important and no research has been conducted, or a few researches have been conducted, or large number of the researches have been conducted, but there are inconsistencies in the finding. Those three aspects, out of the three, you have to write one, because in your case, all three will not be applicable. Only one will be applicable. And what is that one? That you can decide, my dear friend, and then you can write. Absolutely no problem. But if you want to improve the quality of your thesis or quality of your dissertation, then your rationale has to be very, very strong rationale. I have found sometimes people write just one small paragraph under the rationale. Now, one paragraph is, you are not able to build the rationale. You are not able to tell to the reader that this is why I have taken this particular research. So in the rational one, you have to highlight why you thought that you should conduct a research on that particular aspect or on that particular variable. Okay. Now, once you have written this, I cannot tell you the length, but you can decide the length. You want to write 2 pages, you can write. You want to write 3 pages, you can write. Because in the report, in your dissertation or thesis, number of pages not a problem at all, because you are not writing a paper. If you are writing a paper, then of course length is a problem there. Okay, once you have done this, sum up the rationale, then next immediately is statement of problem. Now, in the research proposal, I told you that you will write, the problem will be worded as given below. Now here you write, the problem was worded as given. So just whatever is the title of your work, the thesis or the dissertation, just write that title. I have seen some of the people write paragraph here. When your heading is statement of problem, then statement of problem cannot be a paragraph. It has to be just at the most one statement, because you have written statement. It is not statements, it is statement. So therefore you cannot write a paragraph. But I have seen many people writing the paragraph, and that is not technically correct. That is wrong. So here you have not to use much of your mind, because your title of your dissertation or thesis has already been approved and decided, and here you have to write that. Now, once you write the statement, of the problem, then immediately comes the objectives. And under objectives, you will write the following were the objectives of this. Either you say this study or you can say this research. The choice is yours. And then here you should give your objectives, whatever are your objectives. Now, it is the wording of your objective plays a very important role in the quality. I have seen many people, when they write the objective, their objectives are not pinpointed. They are vague. And if you are writing the vague objectives, my dear friend, rest of the things will become vague. Then you will not be able to connect them very well. The linkages you will not be able to have. So therefore, it is important that these objectives which you are writing, they must be very specific and clear. Okay? Now, if you are conducting a research which is pure qualitative in nature, then after objectives, then you should write delimitation. I'm not saying limitation, because each research is conducted under certain limitations. But that limitation is further reduced, and that is why that becomes delimitation. Limitation of limitation is called delimitation. Okay? If it is not a quantitative research, if it is a qualitative research, then well, you can write the delimitation. But if you are writing a quantitative one, then my dear friend, you are after objective, then your heading must be hypothesis. And then here you should write the hypothesis were worded as given below. So you write 1, you write 2, you write 3, whatever are the, I do not know whether you will have 2 hypotheses or 3 hypotheses, whatever it is. And if you have that, then after that you can write the delimitation. And if that comes now, this is the end of your first chapter. But I have seen in some of the theses, what people write, after that, they write the summary of the complete one. What are the other chapters which they are writing? So next they write the second chapter, third chapter, they write a summary over here. Actually, there is no need of it. It should end over here. Now, in some of the theses, I have seen people write references after each chapter. Now, if you are writing references after each chapter, and if you are writing at the end also, then you are duplicating. So it is advisable to reduce the duplication. So now what is to be done is, people do not write the references at the end of each and every chapter. They will write the bibliography at the end of the thesis or at the end of the dissertation. And that will be bibliography, but not the references. I told you yesterday that the difference between references and the difference between bibliography. So therefore, you have to write the bibliography, not the references. Because in your dissertation and in your thesis, you might have referred to, apart from the journal and apart from other, you might have read some of the books in order to develop the conceptual understanding of your work. And you may like to give the reference of those books also. One, you are giving the reference of the papers or the dissertation or the thesis which you have cited, but there might be uncited references you are giving. So cited plus uncited will become the part and parcel of your bibliography. So your bibliography will be much, much larger than your references. Okay. And therefore, now this is the structure of the chapter number 1. So therefore, I could not give you the caption headings as far as that is concerned. Now, when you are writing here in the introduction, here you have to write whatever are the caption heading which you will have here. And after that, then you should write the rationale, and then after that you write statement of problem, and then you should write objectives, and then you should write hypothesis, and then you should write delimitation. The information is given related to this and this. Okay, in this chapter, the information is given related to that's all. So therefore, as soon as one reads your introduction of the chapter, he immediately comes to know that which information has to be given in which sequence. If I'm interested in the hypothesis, I will immediately see the hypothesis caption and I will go there. If I'm interested in the delimitation, I will turn pages, and wherever delimitation is there, I can read that and finish it off. That is important. So my dear friends, I think I can close it here today. So I have given you the first chapter, and tomorrow I will tell the rest of the other chapters which as a teacher, as a researcher, you have to write. So over to the organizers.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so thank
Sir,
you.
there is one question in the question box.
What is the question? There is
what about plagiarism certificate for PhD thesis? Is it needed?
Yes, it is needed. These days it is needed.
Okay.
And these days, this has to be got it done in many of the university. The university librarian is empowered. Or in some of the universities, it may be the computer department people. They are empowered, so you cannot go outside. But it is, you can't go outside and get the certificate. No, it has to be either from the librarian if they have the system, or from computer people if they have the system. Okay, so that certificate, yes, You are right. That certificate is needed because when we were doing PhD or when we were guiding the one, there was nothing like that.
Okay.
Now it is said that maximum it can be 10%.
Okay.
If it is more than 10%, then they consider that you have copied many things. But you know, there are many software. Each software you use, they will give you the different result. Even the softwares which people are using
Uh-huh.
in order to find out how much has been copied or what is the plagiarism, so that plagiarism percentage comes different.
Okay.
That is what when
Sir, is this information available anywhere? Like from where can we get the cert? Because in, for example, for our college computer system does not have this plagiarism facility.
No,
Not even the library.
your university, if you
Huh.
ask your university librarian, he should
Okay.
be able to give you.
Okay.
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 Or,
Okay.
for example, in Bombay, you have another university, SNDT is there.
Correct.
Ask the SNDT, but it has to be the government. If
Okay.
there might be a private vendor, he might be having, but that certificate will not be applicable.
Okay.
He is not your employee, so he may write anything. So that is the important thing. And this portion will be taken by Dr. P.K. Gupta when he will talk about all that type
Plagiarism.
of that thing.
Okay.
And he will even demonstrate, because
Okay.
there is a package, how that particular package can be written. Yes,
Okay.
there is another question, operational definition. My dear friend, sometime the people write the operational definition and they keep on writing definitions. Say if it is stress, they keep on writing 10, 15 definition. 15 definitions cannot be the operational definition. And the definition, according to me, must be part and parcel of your tool, because the tool is important. If you have written operational definition, 15 definition, what is the sense of 15 definition? And your tool is not based on any of the definition which are given. So I personally do not like people to unnecessarily copy from different books and keep on writing the definition. There is no sense of it. But if it is a tradition, or I don't know what I should say, if that be so, if you have to write, then you can write in the after the statement of the problem. The problem, words, and then you can write. But I personally feel you should not write. You should write it in the methodology chapter. And when you come to the tool, I will explain at that point of time. There it fits very well. Okay. Any
I don't think so. Any more questions are there? Not even hands are up. So I think so. We can wind up here, sir. Okay. Thank you so much, sir. And thank you, one and all. We will again meet tomorrow at the same time. Thank you very much. Thank you, one and all. We will meet tomorrow at the same time, 4:30.